All right, I'll call the meeting to order. The first order of business is seating someone for Miss Reed, who's going to be here late. She'll be here at 7:30, she said. So she asked that Matt Ward, not Matt. Matt Olson. You're welcome. Yeah.
You've got enough problems.
You've been doing yeoman's work anyway, so just take on another role. Be seated for her. So I'll entertain a motion to that effect. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. All right, the motion carries. Thank you. So CapEx, again, getting filled in from last week in my absence. My understanding is now, I was asking Andy about the senior center piece that had gone up from 6,000 to 10,000, and we noted that in what we got tonight, that looks like that is reflected. And the other items that you had...
She sent an email when she changed the laptop numbers, 2716. Tim and I had talked about it when we were reading, she thought today we put it back to 6. That's what the original number was. I don't know if she lowered that to make, she asked for more than 10. I don't know why she lowered it.
Yeah, I mean, that was sort of the discussion that Jude and I had with her. It seems like her capital request just got lost in an email inbox somewhere. So she had actually made the request, it just got lost.
Okay.
So my question is it accurately reflected in the sheets that we have right now?
The 6,000 would take care of 2 computers.
Yeah. That's
IT
exactly
committee.
for it, 2 computers.
And that makes sense with them not knowing where they're going to be all of next year, that she and her assistants have a laptop, so they're portable, and their desktop computers, as we talked about, we're paying a fee to CT-Comp for every mouse, keyboard. Those are mothballs and taken off the courses, as well as everywhere else when you replace a computer. I think it makes sense to...
Is that for 6,000, 10,000, or I thought you wanted it for operations to finance off-site meetings during construction?
10,000.
That's another 10.
That is
It is in here.
It's in capital. Now.
So they're both 6 plus
Both.
10.
So with that kind of midweek adjustment, it seems like the capital items that had been agreed to last week are all reflected as well, so such that we can vote on the total for capital at this point.
Dave,
additions or changes?
I did give a handout about Ferry Road sidewalk. Our engineer worked up a current projection. So his projection, looking at the top number, probable cost is 146, which is the basic thing that was presented to us before, and then grubbing and clearing, traffic control, mobilization. There are some additions which he recommended be pegged to a percentage of the base 146,000. That results in 186, and then a contingency incidental 15% gets you up to 214.9 on the construction part of it. The engineering part, the original tasks were 1 through 4, and you can see about half was spent, and so therefore about half remains to be spent. And then tasks 5 and 6 have to do with the steep application submission, and then all kinds of work during the project with zoning, tree commission, talking to the residents, doing alternate plans for the sidewalk north and south of the street, etc. And any problems that came along, the vinyl fence. So that, I know we may have a little bit more on that number 6 task, so just threw something in there. There was some survey and land record work at the outset that wasn't billed. And then, the final design, due to the passage of time, I guess the contract provides for an escalator if it goes over a long period of time. And then once the bid phase is over and a contractor selected, similar to what we did with Townview Sidewalks, you have construction administration and inspection at $75 a piece. That would be on site, making sure everything's going properly. So throwing those costs together, rounding up to $36,000. One of the properties, we need a right of way to bypass a tree that's vulnerable, a big maple tree. We're gonna make it like a half moon around the tree, so as not to damage the roots as much. And then Bartlett Tree has a couple of feedings that they've done one, but there'd be probably two before the project, just to get the trees that will be impacted as healthy as possible. So putting it all together, it's about $257. The source of the funds, we do have carryover, about $104,000 in carryover. In the current capital budget, there's $60,000. And to make the funds equal the planned expenditures, capital needs to be $93,000, which would be this year's capital budget. Now, offsetting that is that the STEEP grant of $126 we have not yet received. So, as the work progresses and we submit STEEP submissions, we would receive that funding on the income side of the budget. So, even though we're putting in 93, we'd be receiving 126, so it'll be a slight positive there. The other two amounts are already in the budget.
So do we have to budget for the additional 93 as an expenditure that's not in?
I think just like with the Grassy Hill Bridge, we have to have the funds on hand, and then the revenue comes in to offset it. You may recall we were putting $350 away for the bridge.
Yeah.
And we didn't put just the town share, we have to put the whole project.
But my question is, it's not in here tonight, and we need to add the 90.
No, it is, it's in the sheets.
No, it's not.
Under Public Works projects.
Not there.
Yeah, it's not there tonight. Which is fine,
The other money is from last year.
Is it not in there?
The steep money's there, it's just, I didn't have time to get it into the.
Oh.
So the income side?
Yeah, steep is 126.
But the expenses money is not in.
Oh.
Did I might have misheard the meeting yesterday. The STEEP grant's going to expire?
It actually comes up August 10th, I think.
Do we know what the...
Bidding a request to extend it, which the engineer said with all the COVID and all that stuff, it shouldn't be a big deal, we expect.
Right.
If they turn us down, then we got a problem. But Captain said it should be pretty pro forma.
Tim, where do we want to put the 96?
Well, under Public Works, okay, page number 4 on capital, little 4. I guess we would, let's see, up the second and third lines under Public Works projects say Ferry Road Engineering and Reconstruction. So what we would do, we just go into the gray area with the 93,000 and modify the bottom.
So you're putting the reconstruction line?
Yeah, well, I want to merge these lines because, I know we had some more engineering than construction, and it was a real hassle to get from one and the other. But if we make it one line for the project, that might make sense. Which will make the 360, 450. or 453, I guess.
And that makes the super total, which is what we...
And then the bottom line would modify. Sorry about that.
So the 3,000?
Yeah, probably 453. And then the bottom one would go another 93. 758, 680, 1186758.
Yep.
That's what I got.
So that'll change the capital number on the other sheet.
8675, 1,186,850.
So, working backwards, I'll entertain a motion for total public work projects of now, 453,000.
So moved.
For a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay.
Nah. No, sorry.
Wait.
I voted aye.
There's only 4 votes per member, Andy. Cigarette. All right, thank you. Okay, back to senior center. That did get revised from last week.
Yeah, we didn't vote on any of them.
We didn't?
No, because emergency management got changed too, because we added in 100,000 for the EOC. I don't think that was on our sheets last week. So I'd make a motion for the 446,200.
What page, Andy?
Page 3.
Thank you.
For general government?
No, subtotal.
I'm sorry.
Oh, we're doing emergency management.
Right.
I know.
Isn't that the next one? No, I'm sorry. You got public safety.
Did we go back to the beginning?
Let's just go back.
Yeah, you started at the bottom.
I did.
Did you want to go?
That's because I thought we only had 2.
No, we didn't vote on any of them last week.
That's basically 4 capital categories. You want to do it.
Yeah, we got general government.
Yeah.
And so I'll entertain a motion for the, and I don't have.
119,760.
General government?
760.
That's page 2
Page 2. On the new.
of the capital, which is a
In that
capital.
one. Yep.
Capital.
Okay.
Are you in the last page there, Vijay?
Last.
So it's like
First page?
capital.
Page 2 for the...
It's in that packet.
First
Okay.
page, capital, yeah, which is like 4 pages in.
Okay, thanks, got it, guys. And it's page 1?
Page 2.
Page 2 is where the total is.
Okay,
A third of the way down, total general government.
got it, thank you.
119,760.
I'll make a motion for the 119,760 for capital for general government.
Great, thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. That motion carries.
But let me just ask out of order.
Yeah.
What are we doing with the senior center building project, the $5-ish million?
That has to go to referendum.
Well, we can talk about that later in the meeting. So my question is, what do we do with that with respect to the budget and the town meeting on the budget?
That'll probably have a referendum vote.
Before or after the town meeting on the budget?
After.
So this is, from a public disclosure standpoint, we'll be going, and I'm sorry, I'm out of turn, but we'll be going to the town meeting, and I think we need to give them a mill rate, because everybody at the town meeting, they want to know, what does it mean to me?
Yeah, no, I agree with that, yeah.
And then to not mention at the town meeting, we're going to have a referendum for another $5 million that's going to increase change the mill rate in another couple of weeks seems an inefficient way to go about it.
But it won't change the mill rate.
Because,
Well, for this budget year, right?
Yeah.
Because you've got a project that's gonna be financed.
well, so we're gonna have, okay, the town is gonna have to expend some funds in this next fiscal year for the senior center project, right?
I think that we've provided for what's required, until construction.
We
think there's any-
past the 19,500 to take care of incidental stuff.
That's for this year.
That should take us through the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah.
And just like the school, that'll happen any old time when they do the bonding and stuff. So we will then, the Lime and O-Lime will have to have separate town meetings or referenda to approve it. And then Lime says they're going to just take it out of surplus. They're not going to finance it. If we have a $30 million surplus, we could do the same thing, rather than pay a lot of people to write up red herrings. But anyway, we would have to come up with our share of it, and we will run the project. So bills will be, if it passes.
It's a very simple question. Are we not planning, if it's approved, to fund part of the senior center construction project during the next fiscal year? And if so, where are those dollars?
Well, that would come out of the offering. If it was approved to spend, the project is $5.5 million, let's say.
Right.
And with some incidentals, it could even be higher. So that could be funds that would be we've already paid for the architectural and engineering.
Right.
So once the contract is let, then you're going to start paying construction and other kinds of stuff. And construction management fees. So that would have to be taken out of the bond, or however the towns provide the money, there'll be funding.
BJ's, I think your question is, from July 1st until we...
June 30th.
Until we have funding of some sort, right? Is there a need for extra money for architectural and that sort of thing that hasn't been provided for and would need to be provided for in this budget?
Well, I don't remember when the construction is supposed to begin, but assuming it's going to begin in the next fiscal year, and assuming we're going to bond for it, even if we bond 100%, don't we have to include the expense in the budget?
The debt service, you mean?
No.
No?
It could come out of the funding.
Just restate the question.
Yeah.
The town assumes an expense of $5 million. How do we pay that? We borrow $5 million from the public in a bond issuance.
Yeah.
Does the $5 million not appear in our budget anywhere?
No.
No?
The debt service on it will in the future.
Interest expense.
I understand that.
But
the expense that's being bonded doesn't have to be included in the budget as an expense.
No.
Just like
As opposed to a grant. If we get a grant for something, we just talked about it a minute ago.
Yeah.
We have
With the
a
budget
grant
for the full
$200,000.
expenditure.
We still have to put $200,000 on the expense line, even though it's offset by the grant, but we handle bonding differently.
Yes, that's what we've done for the
That's
town,
fine with me. I'm
the
not-
town hall renovation. That's how that was handled.
Okay.
In the library,
Right.
the money we laid out to the library, we have principal and interest payments, debt service in our budget for those projects still. Town hall's still
Right.
there.
P&I, 6 months for interest, once a year for principal.
Yep. So that'll end up, I don't know when we would start paying back the bonds on,
Not the first 6 months.
depends on
Yeah.
Well, in any event, sorry to distract us, but that's helpful. So when we go to referendum, we'll tell the town, this is what we want to do, this is how we want to finance it, and if it's 100% bond financed, then the town's expenses are going to be the amortization of those bonds, and
Over
this is what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
Or you could use surplus to cover some of the soft costs or whatever else.
Presumably will,
Yeah.
the town
And they hope to
meeting
get
do
grants.
the proposal.
And hopefully
Yeah,
they'll
but right now, it's not approved, so upon approval, you're gonna have increased debt service, and to the extent you
Right.
use surplus, if there were any interest income that's attributable, which there hasn't been, unfortunately, but that would also get reduced, right? So if you had $10 million and now you've only got $9 million, you budgeted for $10 million times 4%, and now you've only got 9, so that will be part of it.
No,
But
fair
the
enough.
project isn't approved, and so it's not part of this
But the
budget.
bottom line, kind of from a procedural standpoint, it makes sense. You don't have to deal with it until the referendum.
Right.
And I would think that people would understand that if we have debt service of $5 million, we are going to have to get payment somewhere.
On
from the
$5
public, yeah.
Right, but it also goes to this question,
Right.
are we going to take anything from surplus or from taxes?
Yeah.
We're going to have to,
Decision.
Yeah, so that's a little ways off, not far. Yeah.
another week?
Right.
I hope not. Excuse me.
All right, Public Works.
Make a motion for $14,600. Public Works.
Second. Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. That carries, thank you. Fire.
Public safety is at the top of page 4. $599,
Oh, I'm sorry, subtotal, animal control. Yeah, subtotal.
items in it.
Make a motion for public safety capital 599, 398. Second.
Further discussion?
Yeah, I addressed the Board of Selectmen yesterday regarding the firearms that are for the police budget. I'll paraphrase what I had to say to them, but I did basically some research because I find that it's our job as the Board of Finance to make sure that we're making valuable purchases for the town. So defining value as the quality that a purchase adds to the town divided by the cost. I did some research on what potential value this has, and ultimately I found a 5-year study that showed no difference in most meaningful outcomes, including violent crime, officers killed, officers assaulted, and it found no difference in any outcomes assessed. The Department of Justice weighs benefits and risks, benefits including protection against superior firepower and deterrence power. It also points out improved response to the threat of terrorism, which doesn't seem to be a threat that we need to potentially adjust with our local police, but then points to disadvantages being greater danger to the public, higher friendly fire casualties, increased training requirements, and budget constraints. To contrast that, I did some research on what other potential valuable investments could be out there. And every Town for Gun Safety recommends community efforts to help families use safe storage techniques for their firearms, and that can actually make a very meaningful impact on death and injury, especially when we're talking about firearms being the #1 cause of death for children, but mass shooting in schools make up only 0.7% of all gunfire incidents in schools. So we're talking about mass shootings in schools being a very, very rare event, and this purchase being aimed at that, where there are other interventions that can have a broader impact on accidental deaths in the home, accidental shootings from unlocked firearms. And I think those offer more valuable investment of these dollars than the purchase of weapons that are only intended to respond to very, very rare events. The other thing they point out is that it's estimated that if just half of households with children that contain at least one unlocked gun switch to locking their guns, that 1/3 of youth gun suicides and unintentional deaths could be prevented. Furthermore, only 1 in 3 gun owners in states with child access prevention laws, which Connecticut is included, only 1 in 3 gun owners know that their state requires secure storage of guns. So at least from what I have looked at, it seems to me like that money could be much more valuable placed elsewhere, and I'm not sure that that analysis of if we're investing taxpayer dollars to impact gun violence against children, I don't think that we've assessed all of the possible places where that money could be more valuable, and that from what I found, it seems like it would be more valuable allocated elsewhere or left in taxpayers' pockets. So I would be happy to send the complete statement I read to the Board of Selectmen to all
Do
of
you
you.
have a site for the study that you were referring to?
Yes. Here, or I can pass it around. I've got all the citations there.
I have one question.
Yep.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
the only comment I wanted to make is that I have never thought that the purchase of these weapons is limited to school shootings. And, you know, without a study and without any empirical data, it just seems to me there are bad guys out there. And if one of our policemen is confronted with a bad guy with a long gun and he's got a pistol, that's a problem. And I personally am not persuaded that it would make sense for our policemen to wait for a trooper from Westbrook. So without regard to whether these are precisely the right weapons, it does make sense to me that they have long guns.
So there's also a quote from an officer who was interviewed by Government Technology, who states that patrol rifles are great for mid-distance or long distance, but most police shootings are at fairly close range. And in a close-quartered situation like a school or an office mall or a grocery store or, you know, presumably all of these indoor places, a shotgun may be more effective. So I'm not convinced that the due diligence to back up this purchase has been done.
So,
I had the same question that BJ did, so I'm good.
yeah, the motion on the table is for capital expenditures for public safety. So this is part of the amount that has been proposed. Are there any other comments or discussion for the motion that's on the
I
table?
guess I would ask, did the Board of Selectmen change? They're still recommending this.
Yeah, and I'll point out that these weapons will be secured in their vehicles. They will not be used unless directed by the Westbrook Barracks, right? So it's not as if they're going to be walking around with these weapons, except under extreme circumstances. You probably won't even know they're around. And I think when we saw the Tennessee footage, those officers were responding with a person who had a pretty strong gun. And, okay, $11,038 million
Happily send you.
is a small amount. And if an officer had the right equipment, I think we buy vests and every other thing to protect them. And this seems to be what at least we're being told by our officials is a smart protocol. So I don't see why it would be objectionable.
We don't have a narrative from the police who made the budget request in our budget book. The only thing I have seen are quotes from the article that was in the Day, and all he said was, all the towns around us have these. And I think that, you know, as I said to you yesterday, Tim, if one of my kids came to me wanting to buy something because, well, everyone else has it, I think I would say, well, so what? So I think, and all of these studies, you know, and not all of these studies are saying that these weapons are necessarily a bad thing for towns to have, but they do say there need to be policies. You need to discuss with the towns around you what they have, why they have them, what their policies are, and it just doesn't seem like that work has been done.
As far as the policy goes, we follow the state police A&O manuals. Whatever the state police policy,
Okay.
we go.
Well, have you spoken to East Lyme or Old Saybrook or?
That's
They would do the
beyond
same.
the scope of the motion.
Okay,
I think the only other thing I say, I think the educational factor that Kimberly was talking about letting people know that we're in a state where your gun is required to be secured.
yep,
I think that's something that through the quarterly or however often newsletter goes out to residents, that, not that it would be in there every time, but I think there are ways that we can do that. And I'm sure the police have opportunities to do that.
Opportunity, we had a shooting over the weekend.
Right.
While its children are sitting there.
3 months, so we had training just recently,
Right.
you know, and it would happen. So I think for the educational piece, put something in the thing, you know.
Yep.
obviously-
And find ways to do that. I think that makes a lot of sense to create more safe homes for everybody.
We haven't gotten there.
Okay,
Yeah, it was under Jeopardy.
has everyone said how they feel? So it can be reflected in a no vote, and then we can vote on a different number. That's possible as well. But we've got a motion on the table right now. Is there any further discussion or comment? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay.
nay.
Any abstentions? The motion carries. You didn't just have minutes reflect vote.
Before you move on to something else, can I ask a question? I know I'm late, but under general government, did you go through each item for 23, 24 that makes up the 1,760? Am I just on the wrong page? I'm looking at general fund, that's different.
The only thing that's changed, Jude, is the senior central rental fee got added.
It got added,
That got added, the $10,000.
and that was approved.
That's in the
Yep.
119.
Okay.
Yep,
I
as
just
well as-
wondered if there were any discussions on these items.
No.
And the laptop,
But it's already passed.
Yeah,
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 that-
the 10 for the rental fee and the laptops are both.
laptops were included in there too.
Okay, curious.
Okay. So that is
Public safety.
for public safety. And then we've got Public Works we've already approved. I think we're through. So I'm missing another line. Great. Capital projects funds.
Aren't those fed by the transfer out?
They are.
I'm not sure we have to,
And I don't believe that we vote on them because they're not part of the.
well, that's on the agenda though.
Yeah.
It is, but it was on the agenda as well. There's nothing to vote on.
Well, there's a tab in the book for the, the open space fund and all that transfer out stuff. I don't know if we've approved that particular line.
Because it's new money being put into these funds. Right?
This says transfer out.
Right.
Transfer in,
Yeah.
we voted on the 75 grand, for example, for open space.
On the agenda because the minutes from last week say it was decided to pass on this item.
Oh,
I think it's because the members were,
Plus barn.
Transfers in, we've taken care of. We do have to vote on those. So anyone in attendance has a recollection of requirement for
I've got the
discussion?
fresh numbers that
Are those in tonight's handouts? Or-
Yep, posted. Taking Rick those, that was changed last week, and it's reflected here as 156. Same. You know, I think, honestly, does it reflect we voted on the IT budget?
Yeah, that was my next question.
This was last week.
No, that's the week before.
Because
Yep.
my notes show
Yes,
that
last week.
we
No, this is the,
voted,
That's
I have the number
28.
I have down for IT was 111,925, which I believe is probably putting the senior center $6,000 under IT as opposed to under senior center, which we capital
Just a minute.
over here. One computers for $6,000. That's included in the capital request for the senior center that we just passed. But
But was one,
did we vote last week on the IT capital project fund?
and also, did that IT budget include their original request of less than $3,000 for one?
Didn't have anything in there because we didn't have the.
We didn't, okay. Yes,
Andy, you looking at page 19?
No, I'm looking at page 5.
So where would it be in those line items, Andy?
Well, it's not there, but last week we talked, the total we had prior to discussing those laptops was 105,925,
That's the same as.
which is the number that's on the sheet that Matt provided us. But I'm just wanting to make sure we didn't approve the 111,925 last week,
Oh,
because then we'd have an extra $6,000. Okay, so
I have the number, but I didn't put down.
Get the draft minutes,
tonight, and that would,
no, from last week.
28th, not the 21st.
Do you have those on your
I do, right here.
if we approve the
Let's
105,
take a
that will
minute.
supersede the 111, even if we did approve.
That's true.
Well, we approved the 105.
I just had it in my notes.
No, it wasn't last week. I didn't think we approved IT. No, I don't think, no, certainly not IT.
No, because that's transfer out, right? Maybe it was the 21st. Or you guys may have made
No, I didn't have it approved on the first.
No.
We didn't approve anything
I usually put that.
We didn't approve any capital on the 21st.
on the 21st, yeah.
No,
it's capital transfer about what,
no. And we didn't approve it the week before.
Is what we finally came up with.
Here we had 3,112, and that came down to 156.
Yeah.
How much?
I think that's operating.
Operating, we're talking capital.
Talking capital.
But we didn't do any capital
We didn't do any,
on the 21st.
Yeah,
No,
do any.
790.
no.
I don't know, at the bottom we had
Yes, exactly.
25.
Project fund.
There was discussion about it.
transfer out page?
No,
Into-
capital fund,
One-
IT.
We're talking about the capital project.
Now it's
Right following,
Capital pool.
starts on that.
Oh, is that the transfer out thing?
Yeah.
Oh,
Move the Hinks Park from the Hinks Park video to next year. And you have questions on the IT consultant, countywide capital project consultant,
That was
That
off.
should not, that's not.
No, it's in the 6,500.
Capital.
1 million.
I think
Yeah. Five,
I
I think.
have somehow,
Again,
Remote.
Martha, how much?
That's why we asked for clean sheet.
Yeah.
yeah,
But on the sheet we're provided tonight, it's 105,925. I don't either, well,
Okay, yes, because last week,
got it.
I got it, I think.
she's done it.
Last week, what I have written down is that we got to 111,925, and that included 6,000 for the senior
Correct.
center laptop. So if we take 6,000 out of that, that's where we're getting 105,925. Yeah, so
I-
the 6
that-
is taken out of it.
right, and I agree with that,
Okay.
but Martha has a different number.
I had the same number as,
You have the 105,925?
That's all right. That works.
He knows your last name.
yeah, I know you texted me, I gave you a thumbs up.
Yeah, we were both doing it on our phones.
Yeah, I mean, I had the 105,925 crossed it out and added the 6, so I think this is a good number here.
Do you have?
Here it is, last,
6,000 over here.
that 111.
Yeah, and they take 6 away from that, you come up.
105,925, take the 6 out, brings down to that, okay.
And I have the same number.
But seniors,
It's the last page.
That's why.
I'm looking at match sheets as well as the ones we have here, as well as where did
in the middle.
My house.
So, let's go.
Well, floating.
you can eat it, she can eat it, the rest of us.
I can't eat it.
All right, so,
She does?
so,
Start with the capital.
so now we're into capital project funds outlays.
Well, we're not doing the IT?
That'll be the
That's
last
part
one,
of it.
that's part of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Tonight's
It
paperwork,
was, page 4, so we're starting the middle of page 4, we're slightly more than the middle there.
page 4 of capital or page 4 of the sheet? Okay, thanks. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
So the outlay is
156.
156.
How many Concord goats do we get for $6,000?
One big one.
A bunch of miniature ones, like the ones you buy at Walmart.
I'll make a motion for the 156 for Park and Rec
Thank
Capital
you.
Fund.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Race to it. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Great. Okay. Next is Public Works, Vehicle and Equipment Capital Fund. The total is 40.
49.
For those with glasses.
Oh, did you?
Oh, my contacts, I never know.
If you want mine, I can't even vote.
Sure, look cute.
Hey, try it. We have no cameras. I don't know if they help. If they do, I can't vote anyway, so.
Yeah. If only these were Zoom calls.
I think we found one.
I'm good. That I can't vote anyway, so.
All right, 49,000 for Public Works. I'll entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Urban,
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Any opposed say nay. That carries. Thank you.
We have another pair in the car that might look better.
I have 20 pairs.
We all do. No, they're blue,
Yeah.
sort of shell.
I haven't worn my contacts in a long time. So, Fire Department, 150,000 unit replacement.
Okay,
I think that's
through this.
standard.
Page
So moved.
5 of the
Second.
new stuff.
Great. Any discussion?
Okay.
Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. IT Capital Fund, 105,925.
Sounds right.
Is there a motion? Second?
Second.
Any further discussion, questions? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. All right, final is road improvements fund. 784,900 is what I've got. Entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Garber.
Discussion? Do a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Great.
Everybody's happy with their roads, I guess.
I don't know about the 156, but that's a state road. It's looking shabby.
Something to do with sewers on that one, isn't it?
Maybe. Okay. Revenues.
We have to do, on that agenda, there's open space and bus barn. Those weren't included. Did we already?
Yeah.
They're on the other old sheet.
There was I think there was a discussion about the bus barn, that had highways in there. It was $37,000 in the operating budget.
Oh, that's an operating?
Yeah, and so's the 75 for open space.
No, I think that
Open space had
the bus barn is on this capital.
The money-
Transfer out sheet.
for the,
No, because they're 75,000 that goes into their fund.
Right.
In case they come across land that they buy. That's a different,
they didn't, for the Phragmites, yeah.
that was already approved.
I thought they put that in capital.
That's why it went up so much from like.
Might be one of those funds.
Well, and we have to start getting paid. Putting money of our own in there, we're not getting money from that. Things need to be done, we spend a few dollars on it.
Let's make sure we're not missing that. That would
Yeah.
be a disaster.
Those capital funds that you approve, they don't show up on here. Correct? Those capital funds, you can put money in, I don't see them on here anywhere.
They're outlays. Yeah.
But Matt, maybe for the presentation, we should get them onto the sheets, this big group of sheet, because in the book, throw it on there. The one pager that Nicole did,
Yeah, okay.
but in the chart of accounts, it doesn't show those things.
I don't think
Yeah, Andy,
We could probably
did not vote on it.
two
Yeah.
independently.
210.
Which is on the old sheet. Yeah. Why this 105 is
That's where the barn is.
I'm trying to figure out if we ever did, if we ever.
That's
That's what
voted
was
on.
out about these bonds.
Parking back 160.
Yeah, but the other one,
Transfer.
it's at 105. Of course, that stuff isn't on there. See, this is 5,
But these,
you know, just,
Mixing apples and oranges here, because here's the 150 for fire truck, and we've got 150 here.
Is there's a laptop in there, and just looking at that?
but didn't you say before, I think you're right, we don't approve transfer outs. We have to put the money in.
This is what we
Okay.
approved.
But we checked them off last week. For some reason.
We didn't, I don't think we
No?
voted.
And we adjusted some numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got adjustments,
Yeah.
historical adjustments. We're waiting on IT capital was the reason that we had. So I'm looking at reval, for example, at 35. Sanitation and recycling, 1,000.
IT is updated in here, which is the number we just spoke, 105,925.
Right.
But that's not a fund, funding in the fund itself on taxes. Everything is coming, which is fine that we approve those, but
Answering the question.
yeah. And this may be historically the way.
Well, because you just approved the road expenditures, but we're putting 800,000 in and not spending all of it.
Yeah. These are on the budget sheet.
Right. Which are out.
Capital project,
Yep, up here.
210.
Yeah, you missed it.
Yep.
And
All right.
that is 37, okay.
Take,
So it looks like Matt, just looking at IT, and that was one of the things holding us up, he carried forward that 105,925
Right.
into this, as opposed to originally it was 127,9. So
Right.
this big sheet
That was 127. Correct.
corrects what.
So there's two concepts here, right? We're funding, so we smooth the funding, that's approved, and that's
Right.
part of our taxes that we're raising. And then there's an expenditure out of those funds,
Capital project funds. And then transfer.
which don't hit the capital, the back.
But proposal is put 800,000 in that account, which ends up, if we don't spend it, stays in the road fund. And we continue to
Right.
grow it
Yeah.
to save for 4 Mile River Road and, whatever roads we have out there.
Right.
So,
But that's not reflected on our big sheet that we share with the town.
yeah, it's a 784.9 for that number, which is what is right here.
The last page, right?
Yeah. So that's fund 150 in for the truck this year. Next year, there's an expenditure of 900 grand because we've saved it up. That doesn't show up on our big sheet
Because it's already coming.
because we've already saved up.
It's
for
in
it.
the fund.
Right.
But I don't think historically, I got to look at our presentation, whether we told people, hey, we've squirreled away this.
But
money.
you do say that, and Andy has also
I got
said it.
Well,
Right, you got it
if
from
Andy said
him.
it, then I've been
You
saying it.
stand up there and explain how we have planned,
We
and,
started showing the fund balance.
right,
That's right. That's
exactly. And
Okay.
why they are what they are over the
Okay.
years and what they're designated for.
Yeah, but I'm always confused. So it makes sense if we're taking $1 from the taxpayers and putting it into a fund, tell them that, right?
Yes.
Whatever the fund is.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure it makes sense when we take money out of that fund, we don't tell them.
No, but that's what we're saying is in the budget presentation, we do show those fund balances
That's good.
And where that money's going to be spent.
and where
it's
that money is going to be spent.
From when they buy
So,
the actual.
hey, folks, we got $1 million in the road fund. Oh, and by the way, we're going to spend $400 grand this year, or $600 grand.
And where does the 400 appear? Is it in the budget?
It does not appear on this sheet,
So where does it appear in writing?
in the audit. If anyone, yeah, in the audit, they can.
No, but
No, but it should be in writing somewhere. In other words, the public should know how we're spending the fund balances.
Well, I think that presentation usually takes place. We have accumulated $650,000 and in May.
So you have it right here under,
That fire-
special revenue and capital project fund. It's not the right number.
They're right here.
Oh, no, I'm sure it gets approved when they.
Project fund. That's the one that gets published in the paper. This one is like an internal one that we use to show you guys the changes in percentage of
So that just
change.
gives you, that gives you the broad brush stroke, this gives a breakdown.
Yeah, this one gives you
expense.
This is the audited numbers from that year, this year, and then projected.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt, so what are you saying, that
That's right.
capital?
It's broken down somewhere, someone else.
Yes.
Yes.
We don't just
On
arbitrarily.
this one, this is one that, special revenue and capital project,
So
These are the ones that,
same numbers.
at the end,
It shows that you have more in equipment.
IT,
the only thing that we've got left to approve is to present to the towns.
Then the budget.
Wait a minute, guys.
But it's
Just,
a typical transfer,
just a moment,
special,
The only thing on our budget sheet that we need to vote on
that'll be the,
right now is section 210. And we've actually already voted on a couple of them, but let's do it in its entirety because it was in our budget book of 210. So we can go through and approve these figures. They tie out to some that we've already approved, some that were just kind of out there at the end of
all these
capital,
meetings.
that we just looked at. So we approved, I think, 5 or whatever it was at the end of the. All right, so eval 924, 49, 10, 490, 37, okay.
That's what I'm highlighting, because I think that was a question.
Yeah.
Can we go, before we go there, I don't know, the road improvement, okay? 2 years ago, last year it was 800,000. We didn't spend that, there's nothing to do with what we actually spent on paving. On this sheet, which, this is a sheet for the hearing and the
And
budget.
determining the taxes or what?
So the number here is 784.9. I think that number should be 800.
I agree. The 784.9 is what
It's
Ed
what
plans.
Ed's plans
It's
to
just
spend, but we got to
coincidental.
budget the
Then
800.
just make the 800, right?
We got to budget the
We could do
800.
the 784.9 but that's not the
For
purpose. is
for
to build
15,000, come on.
Right.
some-
That's just,
I mean, I think that's the only one here that's not.
it's not going to,
done.
that 15,000 isn't
Right.
going to move the needle
We did vote for 784, but I think we have to revise that
to 800.
to 800,000 for road improvement public works.
So 105,
925.
now, that also, again, could be 120,000. And the outlay would be 105,925 if you wanted to build that fund.
one seems to be what you're contributing and the other's taking out.
That's exactly.
Right, and therefore the difference we're building in
But look, what
an account.
Nicole did on this sheet, the single sheet, she was replenishing it with round numbers, 35.
Right. Got it.
flat. And it was just, it
And then the detailed output,
outputs of what's coming out.
right. So that,
Her total was $1,620,000. We did modify like sanitation and recycling down because of NIP money, but the rest of it, we could argue, is just, remember when we took money out of the private duty fund? We said we got to put money back in there. So we don't have to match what's coming out necessarily.
we don't have to match it. We could match it. We could leave IT exactly in and out. That's fine.
This
So-
might be a year to do that, not put extra in it.
Okay?
I think it's a perfect year to do it because we're going to be looking for places to find money.
So there's no quarrel about the 35 grand for reval, $1,000 for sanitation and recycling, everyone's
Right.
fine with. IT capital, 105,925 in 210, right? Would be an in and out, and that's fine. IT,
Yep.
that's a wash. Public Works vehicles is 49 grand.
We already,
And
That's an in and out.
that's.
Okay,
yeah.
keep going.
So
Building improvements,
10,000, that's
kind of an unknown.
So
There's
that's
nothing
just build-
budgeted, that's
Yeah.
a number.
building up that fund.
Okay, and
Um,
then 784.90 instead of 800. We're gonna round it to 800.
I think that's,
Or
yeah.
did you round the other to 800?
I think we leave the other as is, but we replenish the fund
But
to
if-
100.
Yeah.
But I thought you were saying this is the year to make it in and out.
Is this the Republican?
There's
Upstairs.
Upstairs?
Yeah.
So this must be the Democrat gathering.
Excuse me, it's Board of Finance, and that was rude. For any person.
If you want to follow the logic,
Like that, give the rest of us a bad name. That was rude and
you
insulting.
know,
So the 784,900 is the outlay.
yeah.
So, if we went to 800, because we're replenishing, it would make more sense that we would remember
I
last
think
year,
so.
maybe better than we did this year, what we're doing.
The 9 iron,
So I would recommend keeping that at 800.
well, you gotta change the vote on it then.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to,
Well, no, we're gonna vote in toto for, account 210.
We shouldn't have
You-
to change the road
you put a bunch of
improvement
these
number.
things
This is just what we're putting in the.
In it.
We've already, that's an outlay. So we kind of, it's gratuitous, but we approve it because we're here. So
But that's,
We stay with those votes and then just do the ones that weren't voted.
No, but Tim, we're saying for the roads, for example, 784,900 is an in and out. And the idea was that we would contribute $1 million.
16,000 more.
yeah,
Well, just
get a couple of
around.
white stripes on the
Yeah.
road.
Yeah, yeah, right.
A little more.
Come on, Ed was painting,
Right.
they were painting the little yellow markers on the Lime Street curbing today. We might need more of that.
So the 800, how do people feel about it? Because we're voting on the bottom line number. Go to 800?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so that stays 800. So then, next line item, 156, if we leave it 156, that's an in and out. So that is fine, 156. And then 15 grand police private duty fine. We don't have any expenditure associated with it. Open space, 75 grand.
That's our normal,
And that was what was
Contribution.
requested. 150, that's normal
Already,
too, so
yep.
we've already talked about that. And then the bus barn, the 37 grand.
That was
Now-
the question stuff.
Right, why, any idea about that? Like, why are we adding to the bus barn fund? We've got some CapEx coming up probably?
I think there's improvements and stuff up there.
Yeah,
Maintenance improvement.
That's,
the lease is coming up, so we
That's
want to
right.
make sure the lease gives the town some decent money to do stuff in the future, because we've already outlaid, not big money, but money.
wasn't it triple net? Aren't they in charge of?
It was, the Board of Selectmen decided to stop the interest, I remember that. I think they paid principal, but, interest, so.
All right, so, but the town is gonna have some outlays.
Right.
That it's responsible for, I
Yeah,
remember,
we own it.
jogging memory of Nicole saying that.
We own the facility.
We may own it, but if it's a triple net lease,
It wasn't enforced, obviously.
right. So, we are where we are. So the 37 grand was,
Just to
For stuff.
get some money in there so we have flexibility.
all right, so the 37 grand stays. So the totals, Andy, if
the
you-
new total, just add, the only change was to the road improvement fund. So I got 1,433,925.
That's what I got.
You got
10 million, what, Andy?
wait, what is it?
$1,433,925.
Okay. 56, 800. Right, okay, great. All right, I will entertain a motion for that. 1,433,925.
So moved.
There's a second.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Are you gonna have to rescind the motion on the 784 that was previously made?
No, because that's an out, as described in the area that we passed that motion
It was
on.
voted, so
But it was an out, though, Tim.
We're adding.
This isn't adding to the fund. That was an outflow from that particular fund.
15 pennies.
And we haven't overdrawn that fund, so that's good.
Yeah.
So we voted,
Trust us.
we
Voting both sides of it?
planned for the road improvements for next year. For
780.
Otter
You
Rock.
got that?
Yeah.
Otter Rock.
Yeah, that's in
Road and
essence what we
McCurdy.
did, okay.
And here we're putting an extra.
Ed is now
Don't tell
allowed
him
to
it's-
say he's
Too early, Tim.
She's gonna have some fun typing.
Oh.
Mr. Ward, did you get all that rigmarole? Okay. So there's a motion on the table. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Great. That solves that mystery.
9 heads are better than one.
Okay. All revenues except for the current levy. Yeah.
Point two.
Anyway, we don't approve revenues. They just-
We'll take it with,
Well, there's one huge hole, and that is about a third of the way down, interest on it. I don't know how much, I've got a couple of calls into Michael, but if we have, say, $10 million to invest, even short term, like 3 months, we could probably get 4%, and that's $400,000. So it seems to me we've got to get that number framed up pretty quickly.
A safe number, because this goes to BJ's point of we need to tell folks the effect, when I'm up there talking to them about the effect on their,
how often is it
Taxes.
updated, that line? Do we get reports quarterly, 6 months, anything?
the
about
financial
what's
report,
going on?
Nicole has.
Okay, we do have
But
it.
she's got like $3 million in.
Right, so how,
18 months ago, and that's it. Everything else is zero interest. So, that being said, putting a number in there of 200,000 and then for this coming year is probably reasonable.
okay.
And we should put something more than zero.
You're implying by that we can invest a big chunk of our money in instruments that'll pay 4%.
Yeah.
Short term.
Which we
Yeah.
can. It's treasury.
Should be able to, T-bills, those are still.
Right,
Right.
exactly, and it could be there now and we don't know it, right?
No, it's not.
So we're losing money on this right now. Yeah.
But that is a big hole, but we should assume that the issue is going to get fixed to some degree.
So who determines where we invest?
The treasurer.
And that's why I'm asking, do we
That's why
have any
Tim was
feedback
saying-
from him and how,
Yeah.
I mean, did you ask him this morning or is it something that's usually an ongoing process? I'm just not
I know
clear.
the board's talked about it
Right.
repeatedly, so I think we really need to get, because if a lot of it's sitting around with nothing, I mean, even there's sweep accounts,
Well,
you know, to do compensating balances and so on, but
my point is, Tim, if you're not getting a response, if the question comes from the chair of the Board of Finance, would that get
well,
a sooner response?
hang on 'em, but it should be an easy thing to fix.
Correct. But we've been talking about it for a few months.
Yeah.
But
On our January, I don't have February. We're showing investment income, Webster GS interest, current year-to-date revenues was $93,913.
For 1 month, Andy?
Now, that's gotta be
Through
the-
January. So
So that's-
7 months.
I mean, so I don't
So
know.
if you can project
that's our
that,
CD.
and that's conservative.
Yeah.
So that's 94,000 as of end of
Yeah,
January.
but you open the paper, there's tons of 4% rates, 6 months.
So today.
Right, but so the number isn't zero.
Yeah, the numbers are.
It should be close to 200,000 anyway,
Yeah.
At this point.
the 200.
$200,000 is probably a safe number to put in there.
Conservative number.
Something
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
a month or two.
Yeah. Well, this is for the full year
Right.
coming.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
But it's
so-
still,
right.
the sooner we act, we can get extra income this year
Yeah.
than what we're getting now. I mean, I guess it would be a matter of how much, we have $10 million, how much of the 10 do you actually tie up?
Well, you can stagger them, you don't have to have them all in a long term.
Yeah, because you get your tax payment.
And then as the rates go up, you roll it over.
But it definitely takes some thinking and somebody paying attention to it, and so, it could be that we hire an advisor for an hourly rate or something to get us
Of course.
into whatever we want to get into, and then set it. Because we don't touch, our balances have grown every year, so the amount that we don't touch grows. That is a long-term investment.
Right, but you should
So-
allocate some for access.
But it's
The surplus in the audit was 11.5 million, the undesignated surplus.
And Nicole's not the treasurer.
Dedicated funds, if you're raising money for a fire truck and it takes you 8 years,
or 8.
like you can invest in a 2-year
Right.
instrument.
Yeah, but we have all these accounts that we're squirreling money away, so that's on top of that.
On top of that, sure. So, at any rate, for our purposes tonight, right, 200 grand, if we put that in there.
Minimum.
Conservative, right.
Now, if everyone just takes a little bit of time to take a look at the differences, because I'm looking at building department going up fairly significantly.
Well, I talked to the building and tax collector, and of course, when rates were low and stuff, there was a lot of activity. So now that rates have gone up significantly, I know town clerk, she thinks 275 would be a safe number.
Yeah,
Rather than 375?
for the upcoming year.
Well, town clerk was for her share for recording deeds and all that stuff, Tim?
Yes.
For everything.
Oh, and then separate and apart from that is building department that
I thought that's what
EJ
you
was
were-
looking at.
Yeah, building, but again, I think, now that interest rates are up, some of the improvements in new construction might be on the wane.
You got the one on Section 70, you got the one by Buttonball, I mean.
Yeah,
9 houses, and each of those are low. I mean, that's somewhere, not a lot.
yeah, that's true. Diebold's got his thing, and he's got a partner now apparently, so that could,
If he gets going on that, that'd be good.
yeah, that'd be a big project.
Again, end of January, building department had 218,000 in income
In 7 months.
in 7 months.
Yeah, but
But
that's
I know
screeching
that-
to a halt.
Right, that's when it started going down.
July through,
Mark is not as buoyant as saying, yeah, go 375.
So we were at 170. Maybe that goes
That was
from,
the budget on what was actual, what Andy is giving us the actual
Right.
7 months. Yeah.
What was Mark's recommendation?
3 to 3 1/4.
let's go 3.
Let's be pleasantly surprised, yeah.
if we added income down there under the, yeah.
Right. Council Bryant. The revenue on I know it's small, but the revenue for beach stickers were really based on what we're charging, could see a $15,000 increase since before? Is it really? Wow, I'm happy to hear that. I'm just very surprised. Encumbrances.
And what, no one has a dog in town? Or did they scratch the dog fund? That's kind of weird.
Is that under town clerk?
No, it's way up under cell phone tower lease.
No, I know that, but are the dog licenses under town clerk now?
But it's dog fund. Is that different than town clerk fees?
That has to do with the,
The separate fund,
that has to do with
and we don't know what that balance is.
animal control.
Right, but and I think I was told it was up around 30, but I don't see an amount on here, and I'm not sure where it is.
No, that's the special fund.
Yeah, that's sort of like Friends of the Library and Friends of the Senior Center, that we have no control over that money.
Right.
Okay. Fire marshal. Fireworks. We don't charge for it, so there's no income. Okay.
Well, we had some donations historically, I think.
Is that why the line is there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Ghost.
Historic district.
Garbage, all the money.
Interest on investment, we're putting 200 in interest for investments, right?
Yeah.
Insurance reimbursement.
Why do we expect a decline in parking revenue?
Busier every year.
Cloudy weather.
Are we losing parking
What
spaces?
was parking revenue, Andy?
For, I guess it would be July, August, it was 61,000.
For those 2 months?
July, August, September.
Yeah, May, June.
Yeah,
So
which are not as busy as July and August. I mean, you
So
really,
maybe the 90,000 budget for this year is too much.
Too much, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was that number because they changed the rates.
Right, they went
Right.
real high this summer.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Well, the rates were high, everybody was screaming, but I wonder whether.
So I guess there were less people.
I think there were less vehicles
Down used a little bit.
So we're
as they went to
raising
private
our prices
parking.
and decreasing our.
BJ,
It's like a circus car.
Wonder now that the Nine-Town Inn has a bus stop there, how many people can park on site for free and then ride the bus and
somebody used the bus stop.
yeah. I see people at it in the morning. I do. Not a lot, and sometimes people with a bicycle. And even at random places around town, I think it's a big success.
the town parking lot also increased the number of spaces for town residents at the exclusion of paid, so that would reduce the revenue as well. There's less spaces to sell.
Oh, yeah.
Makes sense.
Their crusade, get it down to one.
And I think, I also,
Summer.
I think we hear situations where people will park somewhat locally within a town or outside of a town and get an Uber for a number of people,
Yes.
which is far cheaper than paying parking.
The big wide might have been.
I think maybe. I think so too. And maybe the post office and things like that. Yep.
The other number that comes out, Tim, is the senior center reimbursement. This is reimbursement from the town of Lyme.
Correct.
It goes from a budget this year of 104 to a budget next year of 31. What's going on there?
Well, what's their,
Not using it.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Matt,
That's a percentage.
Right.
Should be a percentage.
what'd you do?
I think it's an error. Maybe it's a typo. Right, Matt? Typos happen.
let me look at historical.
Well,
Do we have revenues?
No, book doesn't have it.
Don't know.
That thing awful high.
College or anything.
105 seems high because, you know, they only pay 20% of the budget.
it's 25.
Yeah, so the 103
Curious.
25.
Yep, maybe.
Put it in the budget sheet.
So what's the budget?
In the chart of accounts, what's the senior center income from Lyme? I don't know if I've got it. Do you have it?
Talking about year-to-date, Tim? 25,000.
Excuse me?
For the budget.
Oh, the budget was 33,575.
So it shouldn't be 103,000.
From the year before.
Yeah, 164,385 is the requested budget. 2023 was 140,472 times 25% is.
35,000?
I think it's a typo.
Yeah. Something like that.
The 103 is off, not.
Right.
Not the
Yeah.
yeah.
I guess
That makes sense.
the architectural fees is in this fiscal year, right? Didn't we determine that?
Yes.
So that, on the next line down, that whole 281,000 architectural bill, you know, we paid it and they're gonna reimburse us their share, so that'll fill in that line next, in the 23 should be in the 23 budget, but maybe it hasn't shown up.
Tim, did we ever get the reimbursement for some administrative expenses from Lime? For some of the
I know Park and Rec is stage for all the things that should be included. But
that
have
should be
had the
a
meeting with them about that yet,
Okay.
which is,
They're still teasing out what they should charge, because it turns out some old Lyme kids also participate in Lyme activities, and so.
they really didn't have Park and Rec there.
All right, anything else? Because this just helps us back into what the.
Well, I do have something. I looked at the tax collection, and over the past 7 or 8 years, the tax collection, the smallest one is 98.74, and the current, the year just ended in 22, is 99.16. We're at 98.25 on our calculation. So if we wanted to nudge that up to, say, 98.5, versus really ambitious 98.75, because, it's consistently 9.85 and above, except for that one 9.74. We could certainly go to 98.5, which on the tax collection, 0.5%.
It's a lot, right?
So on this sheet, it looks like it's 100%, right?
So the current levy,
Piece of paper.
Yeah, but
the current levy is calculated to what we expect to collect, not the potential.
7 is 98?
I mean, you're not talking about a big margin.
That's last,
no,
those are
36,
last year's numbers.
36,515,714.
Is it a little discounted?
is 98.25.
Not 100, right?
Okay.
Because there's a box at the back of the budget thing that, and I look at it, we come down with what the net property tax requirement, that's what we need to meet the, and then between the tax relief, which is a state program, we have to give certain seniors tax credit on their property tax. Volunteer tax abatement, we're shaving out a little bit because the volunteers in the ambulance and the fire no longer get a tax abatement. They get $1,000 to go into the pension along with whatever the pension contribution is, which is around $900 and some odd dollars, so close to $2,000. And then the housing was, Limewood, Ryfield, Hope. That's just about that number. I think we said 40,000. So those are taxes we're not going to collect, so that nudges the tax requirement up a bit. And if you take the gross property tax number, which on the right-hand side of this sheet is a little squirrely, but that goes close to the current levy on the front. There is something like $111,000 difference. We got to figure that out. But anyway,
I think that this is probably, unfortunately, going to, Nicole had put together a one-pager where we did make decisions about how much we drew
We don't
down
have that.
on surplus.
You do have something?
Well, we made revisions, though.
Right.
to-
surplus?
So we need to update with the revisions in order to have his information to be close to accurate.
Yeah.
Well, the surplus as of June 30th was $11,500,000.
It showed how much we took out of surplus, it would change things around, and how much savings per house or expense per house.
This is it, yeah.
I haven't, so that's just a copy of one she had, I haven't done anything.
Okay, but we need to get to that point.
Yeah, this doesn't incorporate, there's another sheet. Yeah, this is just a summary. There's another sheet that shows the net amount required for taxes and what that implies in terms of, yeah. And it's a single page, but it's got kind of 3 columns. If we, take down 800 grand from surplus or 600.
500 or, right.
Here's what that implies.
And how it carries through.
Yeah.
Is that something we could do at a, what do you call it, a virtual meeting?
I don't see why not.
I mean, we're not going through everything line by line. I know a lot of people are on vacation next week.
Yeah, I know. And so if we work because these revisions, we're almost there. So maybe over the next couple of days, a group of us can put that sheet together. And
what do you think about nudging the tax collection rate up to 9?
So we can look at that as an option as well.
Even a half a percentage point.
Almost $4 million.
No, 25 basis points.
It'd be 25 basis.
Changes it to,
quarter.
yeah.
Well, why don't we look at what, even though we figured at 9.9825, what is our actual for the last couple of years and move it to that?
Yeah, we do have this discussion. It's jogging my memory because
Yeah, exactly.
it's above 100.
Well, it's usually higher than 98.25. So,
The collection rate.
right, so I would be comfortable going up saying,
I always have been. Eddie's always.
and we mentioned that earlier.
Stay conservative.
Sideways. It's a house instead of.
I never go out further.
Hold it sideways, Andy. Maybe you can get some more spots.
Yeah.
I think it took, whatever.
Yeah.
Like 30.
That's great. I know I've got a hard copy from every year for the last,
What rate are you calculating it at? 98?
Higher collection rate.
Yeah.
we may be able to just recreate. I mean, it's an easy one pager and we can,
I was going through a bunch of files today, I tried to sell that one.
yeah.
I saw a couple of other things.
So,
Have another meeting, but still be able to get.
See, this
well,
like this.
yeah, because on the 17th, I've got
this.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, so it has to be next week,
got
another day next.
is it 98 and a quarter?
Grand list.
And a quarter and 98
This number.
Sure.
is something that,
But if we bump that,
What was the income at 98?
taxable,
A lot of money, but it's something.
and then,
How about 98.75?
It bumps the taxable grand list up.
This number
Right.
by almost $4 million.
Yeah, but I'm not
but then-
talking about bumping
No,
up the list, I'm talking about collection rate on that list.
Yeah, because this
If we increase that
Yeah.
percentage.
the billion,
yeah.
She defines that as taxable grand list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you have to multiply
it's up the grand
mill
list.
rate.
The collection.
Okay.
if you take the mill rate times that, you get,
But she uses that number as a
But it-
basis to calculate the
and
mill
then you
rate.
do this crap.
So it just
With the
bumps,
other
it
income.
bumps with the other
Like
income.
it's
It bumps that number that she's using
Current levy,
Got it.
up by about 4 million.
$11,000. I think there's a reason for that, and I don't know, I forget why.
So it doesn't bump what we collect up.
No.
No,
4 million
no.
additional.
Right.
We're accounting for.
Yeah.
Right, exactly, it's on paper.
I have a vague recollection when we created this formula, there was some little quirk in there as to why
It's not the night for that.
why the number at the bottom of the box doesn't equal the current levy. It's about 111 or 160.
I have figured it out every year for the last 3 years, and Andy had to figure it out for however.
So you've got until Tuesday to do it again.
It does work. I
Yeah.
know it
Yeah.
works. So- Well, the increase of 98.25 to 98.5, no matter what, reduces the need for the
Yep.
ask from the town.
Right,
Right.
and increasing the,
Yep.
putting in the 30,000 to 200,000.
Yep.
There's another 170.
Yeah.
Even more.
And I think those are both
Just-
pretty stable.
I'm just thinking, if there's a consensus for using 98.5 instead of the 98.25. We don't have to vote
I'm
on
not
it,
voting, but yes.
but we can present it that way.
Based on the track record, I see no reason to feel
Oh,
any.
it's defensible.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I do, yeah.
We've never
That makes
been below 98.5 that I've heard.
No, and it doesn't have to be that every year going forward if it doesn't need to be, or if it proves not to be accurate.
Yeah.
So,
What is our surplus now, do you know?
11 million
30%,
as of June 30th.
30.
Isn't that awfully high?
It is.
Oh, yeah.
I guess, isn't it
We could
7 million?
buy the senior center.
it's been creeping up every year by about a million.
It goes like $1
But-
million a year.
Depending on-
But we also, we don't hesitate during the year. If we do need to fund something, we have the funds to do it.
Underwriting and
We
surplus
need to keep
do
7, 8.
tax ask until probably
50%.
6, 7, 8 years.
And we have,
They've been on the board for some
and we
I
have
think we've
used
used
it.
more or less of it.
less even, but, you know,
Last 2 years.
I think like
we're
800,000.
going to have to go
Yeah.
bonding for the school, so we
So,
pretty.
so Matt, if you want to,
That, they're going to be,
give me a call.
we gotta look.
But let's use 98.5, there's consensus that we should use that as our assumption.
And the 200,000 for the interest.
And the other changes to the other revenues besides the big one.
so we ought to get some action. I'm surprised.
I'm pretty sure when the numbers are, the request numbers are accurate, just, you see mistakes, just text me, email me, just let me know.
Okay.
We can,
But, you know, they get a
I'm
grant,
happy to just go through it with a fine tooth.
they got a couple of grant feelers out. If they could get a grant, if we could get a couple of steep things like we did for the park, each town got $500,000, that's $1 million bucks. You know, shit, down low enough,
Okay.
check. That's what Lime's gonna do.
All right, so that'll be the plan. We've voted on everything that we need to vote on. And so we need that summary sheet, and we'll get that out to folks. We'll call a special meeting. I'll talk about it with selectmen and everybody else, maybe for early part of next week. We'll do it remotely, and then everyone's on the same page, and then I can prepare the presentation for April 7th.
Does everyone want a copy of these as a final version?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Let's change some pages maybe.
Yeah.
however you want to do
Either
it.
send the whole thing.
Oh, I'm fine printing it out, but yeah.
April 17th is the town meeting.
No,
No.
when I present it here, and then there's the final presentation is May
It's after the
After the-
Board of Ed referendum.
5th, and then I think it's the week after. Tidy everything.
On April 17th is a hearing, where the budget's presented to the townspeople.
And they
No
can
votes
speak.
taken that night, they can ask questions.
There can still be
It
revisions.
doesn't have,
Yeah.
and we've revised it after the fact. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be the final.
It can be as quick
It can
as the
be,
Board
this
of
is
Ed
where we
meeting
are
was
right
last night, though, so everybody should be mindful of that.
Yeah, they're.
Last year's was,
It doesn't take long.
yeah, last year's was.
All right.
Oh,
Did
right, but
anything happen at the school board meeting tonight?
The only question was I had the track, I was here to do,
I was at that meeting last night.
They just had a question about the track, why they were losing money for funds.
No, it was, there was a question asked about what is the balance of the discretionary fund, and a number of parents had expressed concerns about why, with the increase in the budget for the Board of Ed operating as well as the building fund, why are some of the athletes tasked with raising money for equipment, not for uniforms? Ian said he was not aware of
Well,
that.
uniforms-
The only money that's used is if the money they use is only to purchase swag. Mary St. Louis Powell spoke up and said that is not the case. The question had come up a number of months ago from Jen Miller, why these kids are being asked to raise money for track hurdles, timing devices for the track team, and uniforms. And I said I thought it was inappropriate to ask The people in
It
town.
was their first homework assignment day, the first day
Right.
of practice was to get 20
Right.
family and friends' phone numbers and
Ian
email
said he
addresses
had never
to
heard
put into an app for
I didn't-
fundraising
I
purposes. I said, we are
I just said-
absolutely not asking
It was
friends and
also
family to
disclosed after the meeting,
any emails or phone numbers.
there was some disclosure after the meeting. The only thing that's being funded with that discretionary fund is $100,000 for bleachers. The other items went into next year's operating budget. I was told or heard that the budget was presented, that more of the items such as irrigation and other bleaches and some field work was considered to come out of that discretionary fund, but it was decided based on a local official saying Old Lyme can afford it, leave it in the operating budget.
But didn't you also hear that the uniforms are replaced every...
7 to 10 years on a rotating basis.
Can you
Right.
imagine that?
And that,
An outfit that was 7 to 10 years
You get like tube
And there
socks
aren't enough,
on.
yeah, some of the outdoor team is wearing the
some of the Board
indoor.
of Ed members stuck around and discussed it after Ian
Yeah, that should,
left, so.
I mean, this is
He said he would look into it. He would look into it. There was a mother who, when Ian said he had not heard of any of those emails circulating, picked up her phone and said, here, would you like to read it?
But there's also previous Board of Ed minutes where it has been brought up.
Right.
So I hate the deer in the headlights.
And there was also discussion about retribution with staff or students if they raised questions.
Parents, students, yeah.
Okay.
So
Out of the-
that, yeah.
And, yeah, equipment and uniforms is, I would argue, is the school's responsibilities.
I agree.
But didn't change any of the numbers that we've got.
No, because the meeting had, a lot of the conversation about this took place after the meeting was adjourned.
Okay.
Okay?
Maybe during the most...
The mention of students and parents being asked to fundraise for athletic equipment and uniforms came up as part of the meeting. And then after it was discussed that they would look into it, the meeting adjourned. But nothing changed.
Before you adjourn,
Oh, we're on other budget items.
Rogers Lake Authority, I think originally that Asian example was removed from the budget. I just want to make sure it was the number you had.
Let me look.
On page 8. Budget.
Let me see what we approved.
It was like a losing proposition.
20,000 is out. Don't need it.
was that?
It's page 8, city thing, I'm sorry.
Zero, right?
Page 8,
Right? Yeah.
I think you might have approved a different number. It's on my notes.
Sam is 0 here. But,
Matt knows it's 0 in his. We
right,
have to
I'm
figure
going to
out
look
what we-
in my book.
Right, what number is it?
Rogers Lake Authority, I don't know.
I see it.
What number is Rogers Lake?
202.
I think that,
202, this is what,
Yeah, but that we know it's 0.
we know that one's
That
correct.
one
It's this one.
202.
Thank you. Rogers Lake,
20,000.
we left 20 in there. Yep,
And this
so
year,
that's going to help as well. 0.
page 3.
Yes, page 3.
but they don't need it for next year.
I think
Well, we did vote on it. I have it checked, I double check it when it passes.
20,000.
I just missed the check one.
No, I mean, here it is, it's page 3.
It voted on 72,290.
That's been
We
removed,
passed the 72,290, which included the 20,
so it'll change the bottom.
because we did not change that number. I don't
So
remember
we're
which
gonna
one.
have to-
We have 20 minus, so we are going to be 50.
No.
That's great. It also brings down the
On
need.
72,290.
We did, and then
Dave, you gonna revoke that?
that
Yeah.
would be
To 52?
290.
52,290.
Right.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion to revise the approval of Rogers Lake Authority from 72,290 to 52,290.
Or,
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
What was the reason? Did they just stop meeting to do that?
They're losing the battle with the clams.
So the clams,
They're losing the battle?
Literally.
clams won.
Clams won.
Is that
We need
right?
more raccoons?
I fought the law.
They eat them?
Do we have to reduce our revenue
Asians,
now?
Asians to go.
From Lyme.
No.
I know, I get it.
Don't eat the lake clams.
Even the seagulls are eating
Can we feed it to the geese?
Wonder if the geese like them.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Maybe that's why they poop so much.
They don't, unfortunately.
maybe they'd be
so-
toxic to the geese.
So Matt, anything else that you saw when you were going through
No, that was all my notes.
All right, that's good cleanup,
Well,
so thank you for alerting us to that.
Thank you.
Yesterday at the Board of Selectmen meeting, Martha proposed that they'd identified, or that she and Mike Ryder had met with a potential candidate for interim finance director, and that she asked if Tim and Matt would follow up with that. And we're able to do that today. Like there was some time,
Could you ask Mike about the interest? I wasn't at. No, I know. I'm just saying.
well, I mean, has
Let's stick
Tim
around.
reached out to him?
He said
Yeah.
he has.
All right, let's leave
And
that,
I've asked.
guys, they're talking. Any other budget-related items? Okay, minutes of March 21st.
Again. But no, that is.
Oh, you know what?
These are the revisions from last week, right? These are the revised minutes of last week's revision.
Yeah, we'll share.
You got one more?
There's more here. Wait.
Everybody else
And I'll
need?
take one more.
Take my book.
Oh, there was one under Florence Old Museum, I think Matt Streckel's last name is spelled wrong.
Are there two L's?
No, I think there's an extra letter.
It's on Facebook, I have to.
It doesn't have a C. Strekel. Yeah, there's.
Got it.
Jude, what was resolved last week on the the ask for 50 grand?
Well, I wasn't here tonight when you guys visited Capitol. The recommendation
They
was,
wanted to have us pay
I don't know what it
10%.
was. Excuse me?
They wanted the town to pay 10% of it.
So,
No, they asked for 50,000 for next year for capital.
Right.
So did you guys award anything, or did you push it
No,
all
we
out?
pushed it to the next year. We figured it'd be doing some soft cost stuff. And
Okay, thank you.
The 25 budget, a one shot.
And I think we had some discussion about how we're going to handle not-for-profits and when they ask for capital.
thinking about
Right, BJ?
Policy.
Not a discussion. That the board
An established
would come up with a policy regarding nonprofits ask or request for capital money for projects. And I think we're hoping that by putting it off,
operating too, if some new
Right.
nonprofit shows up and
we need a
this is
policy.
getting some
So,
cash.
so 0 for the next year, and the 50 is pushed out until the following year. Okay, and I think you dropped any after that.
Not approved.
No,
Put
no,
out
to
there
be
on the radar
considered for the next year.
Right.
And the same thing with the Lime Art
They
Association?
get 10 this year and
But that's it, right?
stop that.
Okay, great.
And I think the feeling is we don't want to have an operating budget feeding them and a capital
Correct.
feeding them.
Yep, but we would consider one-time contributions for a project.
Yeah.
So that's how it stands now, unless we come up with a policy. Great, thank you.
But the minutes for Board of Finance are so vivid compared to others.
Well, you're dealing in money.
I forgot about David.
About what?
Days, like back and forth.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
So these are the same as last week, the ones you presented last week, other than the correction?
I'm telling you, the next 21st, 28th, I can just basically change the date at the top because we've
Great.
talked about this thing.
So many times, correct. Thank you.
I just changed a couple of things.
And now you took the C out of his last name and we'll
I did.
present it again next week.
Where do you want-
Oh, gosh. Other than the corrections you made, it all, I mean, to me, it's the same thing. It was.
Make sure the time to adjourn is right.
That's the most important.
Be corrected in the future.
There were, yeah. You paid your dues the week before that.
All right. Enough time for everyone? I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of March 21st. Is there a second? Second?
Somebody, wait, I can't vote.
Bueller?
Here, so.
Matt, can you second it?
I'll second. Matt seconds.
They've been revised so many times, Matt. You two can't sit next to me.
Revisions, discussion, et cetera? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay.
I'll abstain.
An abstention. Mr. Russell? Great, thank you. Okay. Motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Whatever order.
That second came about really
Fielder's
quick.
choice for the order. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Man, how did you do that?